Our next stop in the Missouri Valley Conference First Pitch, brought to you by Rawlings, is the Valpo Beacons, and Brian Schmack joining us right now. And boy, unfortunately, the last 4 games that you played, Coach, a couple of really tough places to play. One when it comes to the Missouri Valley Conference, and the other when it comes to nationally with Vanderbilt in Nashville. We'll talk about that here in a second. But it seemed to me like you kind of ran into a buzzsaw in Carbondale against SIU opening weekend of the Valley. Take us through the weekend series as you saw it this past weekend.
Yeah, Friday was, I thought, a really good game. They had the bases loaded and connected, right, and hit a grand slam, and that was kind of the difference there for us. I think we had 3 opportunities with the bases loaded and really didn't do much, right? Maybe a sac fly, and it probably turned out to be the difference in the game there. And then the rest of the weekend just kind of gets away from you, right? Again, they were really impressive, I thought. I mean, I think a more complete team than I'd ever seen from them before, right? And I'd kind of heard that, previous years they kind of bopped a little bit and struck out, and now on base was, you know, uh, uh, something they wanted to focus on. And they did a really good job of it, man. A really good job, quality at bats, and 1 through 9, I think it was the most complete lineup they had. So it was a challenge for us. And you're right, playing at Southern on the road is always difficult, right? For whatever reason. It just really is, and they took care of business, and it wasn't a good weekend for us.
And I've talked before, you keep hammering into your pitchers' heads, we need to throw strikes, need to throw it over the plate, but there's more that goes into it than that. You got to stay out of the middle of the plate when you are throwing strikes. So I'm sure that felt like a little bit of a baptism by fire for your pitchers against SAU, right?
Yeah, it was, and I think we did. I think we got ahead okay, like I said, and I think that's important. But then when we had times to put them away or to make quality pitches, we just didn't. Right, there was a lot of those balls that were center cut, and those tend to go pretty far. So I think that was kind of the difference. And then Sunday, I think we walked like 9 guys, right? So we didn't even do anything to deserve to win that game, basically, and that's the result. So.
So you end up midweek with a close loss against Vandy, 3-2, the final. Another incredibly tough place to play, but I know you enjoyed it, and hopefully the players enjoyed it as far as the atmosphere was concerned. And we've talked about this before too. You're not conference. If you want to be it, you need to see it, and certainly you get it up close and personal look at Vandy, a top 10 team in the country. Take us through a game in which the opportunities were few and far between, but you were right there.
Yeah, really interesting, right? And it's just a crazy game. And I talked to, Coach Corbin afterwards and said, when you figure this game out, let me know, because it's something where, we had our highest strikeout total on the mound, and it's against the, number 7 team in the country, right? So it's one of those things where, if you just start to look at it and how things should go, right? Maybe it doesn't match up too well based on even the last weekend. And then all of a sudden we pitch one of our better games, right? So it's one of those where, pitching kept us in it. We only had 2 hits, right? And again, it's a challenging environment. And they're throwing guys up there mid-90s, freshmen lefties, and it's something you don't see every day. So you kind of just try to respond. And guys played incredibly hard, man. I think they had a ton of fun. The dugout had tremendous energy, I hope it's possibly a turning point for us, right? Because again, when you show that you can play with those teams, if you just focus and take care of the baseball and do the right things, you have a chance to beat anybody, right? So hopefully that kind of propels us as we move forward to in conference play.
And in essence, late in the game, he tried to steal a run on an error, and it was a kind of a disputed play at the plate. It was a close play. It was reviewed. That play goes your way. Never know, right?
Yeah, sure. And I think the close quarters at Vandy got us, right? Because on any other field in the country, that ball bounces away as it get past the first baseman and we score easily. But the fact that it's 8 feet from the first base box is where the dugout is, and it bounced right to him, and he just made a nice play, and that turned out to be the difference.
Talk about the pitching and the midweek pitching. Pretty sure we've talked about this before. Midweek pitching, sometimes it's those innings that you're getting from guys that, if you look further down the road, Missouri Valley Conference tournament, those are going to be the guys that may be pitching for your postseason lives. And you got a couple of outings that were really good last night, really encouraging from Cryer and Foley, 2 guys that really looked apart.
Yeah, and those are hopefully confidence builder type stuff, right? Because when come tournament time and even getting deep in the valley with injuries or guys doing poorly, you need guys to step up, right? I mean, I don't, how many teams truly have, that 1, 2, 3 that they count on every single weekend, right? Or you can look at Indiana State last year and say, okay, those guys are getting the baseball and they're gonna take care of business. Probably most teams struggle because they don't have that, right? Or it changes week to week. So to have guys that can just pitch, right, in any capacity is very important as you move along.
Talk a little bit about how it's like, or what's it like to coach two coaches' kid. One's yours, and one is Mitch Hannah's. Those guys been together for years now, and it seems like they have been the staples of your offense. What's it been like to coach those two guys?
It's a joy. It really is, and it's something I'll never forget. And I think Caleb's interesting because he's probably got his dad in his ear a little bit, right? So again, I mean, his dad's probably coaching him from afar at times, right? But and he understands baseball, right? And he gets that. So he's kind of one you leave alone a little bit more, just because I think he gets it. And with Kyle, it's just like I said, it's the first time I've ever done it, right? And it'll be the last time, and it's fun. I'll like I said, I'll never forget it. I talked to Coach Corbin again yesterday. Asked me about it the first thing, and to be honest, I wouldn't trade 2 championships that he has to not be able to do it. So it's that important to me, and I think it's definitely something I'll miss.
And it's one thing to coach your own kid, but it's another thing to have him with 8 bombs at this point in the season. What have you been telling the guy?
No, I mean, and listen, he's worked hard, he's earned it. I stay away. I try to. I'm probably getting in the way more than anything. I tell him from a hitting capacity, my pay grade is over with, right? I can help with pitching, but that's not my area. So Corey's done a great job with him and getting him on track. And he like I said, he's worked really hard, and everything he's earned. Everything he has at this point he's earned. So I'm really happy for him.
Get an opportunity this weekend, coach, to go home and entertain the Bradley Braves. What are a couple of things besides what we talked about that at the end of the weekend that's going to signal a Valpo successful weekend?
Well, I think the stuff we talked about earlier, right, and dominating the strike zone, and on the offensive side as well, right, not expanding. I mean, every time you come here this time of the year, the wind blows one way or the other, right? So if it's out, then you got to understand that balls are going to fly out, and you've got to be able to handle that and come back at it and still attack in the strike zone, right? Because solo homers are better than 3-run homers, right? Because of 2 walks. So, we've just got to stay confident and understand that if things don't go our way, that you just keep pressing on, because anything can change, out here with the wind. So, just be resilient, focused, and show up.
Coach, best of luck. Appreciate the visit. Good health from here on out. All right.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Another MVC First Pitch brought to you by Rawlings in the books. Stay tuned for your next favorite coach and team in the Missouri Valley Conference as we go out through the MVC season.